Hey everyone, Joe here from ActionX, and welcome to Let Joe Talk, or welcome back if you're somehow returning. I'm actually surprised if anyone's even sticking to again and again and again. Brief sign in before I actually begin this episode, because it's going to kind of be a little bit of a smaller episode this week, so I'm able to talk a little bit more than usual. Very happy that so far, I've been managing to keep the schedule. So far, I kind of found a groove, but however, as I'm recording this, I just went back to classes, so not quite sure just yet if I'm going to be keeping that going forward. The goal is to keep this going. I do want to let you Talk's third season to continue strongly into 2020, but let's see, just letting you guys know, so far, everything's fine. Anyway, let's proceed. So today I want to talk about, is being overhyped a thing? And spoilers, it is a thing. I am living proof of that. I feel like in my life that I have been, now when I say overhyped, I mean it in two different spectrums. One spectrum is like me personally, I get so super excited for something, whether that is a movie or a video game or a TV show or a comic book even, or something that I'm generally excited for. And then when I go to receive, see, or whatever with this product, and I don't feel like it lived up to expectations, I feel like that's a case of being overhyped. But and I think that's a common thing that happens, that has happened currently. It's still happening currently. And then, for me, on the other side of the spectrum, and I think this could, I don't think this affects a lot of people, but at least for me it has in over more recent years, where things have been overhyped for me, like people I see on Twitter or hear from Twitter, or people or my friends, they tell me about this and that. It's like, oh, you're gonna love this, you're gonna get into this so hard, and then I follow through and I see what they're talking about. And for me personally, either at the end of the day, I think it's okay or good or great, but it's not as this acclaimed series or acclaimed thing that I've been hearing so much about. I feel like the most prevalent thing that so far is currently in my life that I think has personally been overhyped for me is Game of Thrones. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, and do not worry, this is not me, like, I haven't seen season 8 yet, I haven't even seen season 7 yet, I'm still on season 6. I definitely do believe Game of Thrones was the main de facto example of me, someone hyping it up, a lot of people overhyping it up. The world has overhyped up the Game of Thrones, the TV show, not the books, a lot. Where I purchased the Game of Thrones seasons on DVD because they're not on Netflix and not on any streaming service I own. And when I finally got around to seeing it, because I had bought the first 4 seasons on DVD during a Black Friday long ways ago, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to watch these before the final season. Couldn't do it in time. And then, so I've been going at my own pace since I don't have a show to kind of, because the Game of Thrones prequel is not coming out until 2022, so I got time. If I'm still not done with Game of Thrones until then, I am pretty pathetic. But anywho, when I finally stuck around to see this first episode, I'm like, is this going to get me hooked? Is this going to be, am I going to binge this entire show to finally see what the hell everyone's been talking about? And spoilers, I did not get into the show until the 9th episode. Like, when, I won't spoil the Game of Thrones, because yes, there are some people who have never watched a Game of Thrones episode. I will not be a dick and spoil it, but there's a moment in episode 9 where it's like, holy shit, they went there. Because, at least from my perspective in the moment, I was so used to this typical trope in TV that's like, okay, when is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? How are they going to get out of this? And it didn't. And I was like, holy crap. They perceived my expectations. And I'm like, I know there's a book. I know I somehow missed that spoiler. So I could have inferenced this on my own through posters and promotion material. I could have figured it out on my own, but I have absolutely not even seen a single trailer for Game of Thrones. I saw nothing. Like, I've seen clips there and there, but I never saw big moments pop out. Thankfully, that to save my virgin eyes to those moments, if you want to call it like that, to when I actually see the product. And I feel like Game of Thrones finally started clicking a little bit more for me at season 3. And I'm really enjoying the story, but it's not this acclaimed drama that I'm like harboring currently right now to see the next episode. I'm currently up to season 6, episode 2. That's where I am right now. I've been like that for 3 weeks at the time of this recording. So it could be another factor of I have too much other things to do, so I budget my times differently, or maybe it's not like I talked about this on the What's on the Tube Big Bang Theory episode, which you can go check out on Action X. I talked about that episode where Big Bang Theory clicked so much for me that I was addicted to the show for about for months on end, and for the first time I'm saying I'll probably say this for the whole story on What's on the Tube, but there was another show that I think was the earliest time I actually binged something in current modern day psyche me, was this show called Open Heart. That was a Canadian show that got on Teen Nick. It was by the Degrassi people. They had a whole marathon that day of all the episodes, and I had nothing to do. My house was under renovations at the time, so I'm like, you know what? I got like about 6 hours to kill. I'll see the whole show. And thankfully, no one bothered me throughout those 6 hours because I didn't even know what the hell a DVR is or a pause button was on TV yet. So thankfully, that didn't happen. But the point I'm trying to make is that those shows instantly hooked me to like the point where every other Game of Thrones fan is saying, "Oh, as soon as I rewatch the series, I'm so hooked in. I gotta see the next episode, and I gotta see it." And I just, for me, I don't see it. I don't. Like, I see that this is an amazing moment, but for me, it's not clicking. It's not like really like. And again, maybe it's me being burned down and like watching so many TV shows. Maybe not me being really hardcore into the medieval ancient time content or the ancient time setting. Maybe that's a me thing. I don't know. It just doesn't click for me. It doesn't, and I'm not really like harboring like and I don't even know. It's like one of my good friends. She binged the whole Game of Thrones series before season 8's ending, and I never understood how she did it, and maybe it just clicked for her differently than me. So, and that's totally fine. And I feel like that's been the same thing with HBO shows. I don't watch that many HBO shows. I only watch Game of Thrones and Westworld. And Westworld is another example of that show being so hyped up, so like acclaimed, like this is the next big thing for HBO, the next big thing. Even George was like acclaiming the series when it came out, and it was like he was telling me like, dude, you should see the show, and I did, and it's the same thing. It's interesting. I enjoyed the show, but I'm not like, I wasn't enthralled by especially season 2. I saw season 2 and I was like, okay, that was a thing. I mean, I'm going to see Westworld 3, but I'm like, I wasn't like over the roof excited for it. And again, maybe it's like the time frame, my mental state. It's a lot of different factors. Because for me, I do a lot. I watch a lot of TV shows. I try to watch movies. I play a lot of games, and I have a lot of other things to do besides that. But it's just bringing back into the Big Bang Theory example. It wasn't that long ago. I'm still in that same mindset, but I still made it prevalent to. I still felt myself victim to watching more Big Bang Theory episodes, when in reality, the Game of Thrones and Westworld stuff didn't really do it for me. And I haven't even watched Watchmen yet, and I've heard so many amazing things about that. And I'm actually interested in seeing the show because I'm a comic book fan. Well, I'm a comic book media fan, so I do want to see the show someday. And it's, since so far from what I'm hearing, it's only a one season thing. I'm like, thank God. It's just those episodes and I'm done. Thankfully, it's a limited series. But it's an HBO show, so like, will it be overhyped for me again? And I just don't feel the impact of it. I don't know. Like, I really don't know. I really don't know. And it's not just TV shows. Like, really, I mean, for video games, like I get overhyped. I think I get overhyped more for video games nowadays than movies and TV shows. Even Endgame, I was excited for it, but I wasn't like over the roof excited for it like I did for Spider-Man 2. I think I told the story before where it was opening day for Spider-Man 2. Me and my dad were about to go. Tickets were sold out for the current show we wanted to go. I cried for an hour, and I was so giddy and excited all throughout building up that lead. Like, I'm going to get through this entire school year, and my reward is seeing Spider-Man 2. And it was worth it. It was well worth the wait. And I can't really think of a movie that I've been overhyped for and been like, lessened for or sadly disappointed by. I don't think in recent history I have, because like even the movies, like I kind of have a feel like, yeah, this movie's probably going to be a meh. Like there's no like, there was like, you could say Age of Ultron, but even that was like, I was excited for Age of Ultron. I enjoyed the movie. But I wasn't like overly disappointed by that. But also to come back to like I was going to talk about video games. Watching the Super Bowl, actually, I'll talk about comics first. And this is not to be an insult to George, because if you had heard the the last PodX cast I did at the time of this recording with George, I talked about he was a very advocate supporter of like comic books still mattering currently, and it still does. I'm not like trying to take anything away from him because he's my bro. I love him. He does a lot for me. It's just that for me, it's like. It's the same thing. Like we get overhyped for comic books too, and then I've been hearing a lot recently. Like certain events, certain like runs, they don't really do as well. Even with the big shot writers, with the big names, with the big story arc, and it doesn't. Like I remember currently the Superman run from Bendis. I made it a point last year. Like okay, I'm gonna get into comics. This is the thing. I'm gonna jump back into the world of comics, and I'll go from there. And I was also going to do the Abrams Spider-Man run, which I promised to do, but I never did because I'm a lazy bitch. Pardon my language. And I feel like I never was overhyped for that, but it was like, I know a lot of people were overhyped for it because I remember Ultimate Spider-Man. That was my freaking childhood. I still remember going to Walgreens and picking up my very first issue, not the first issue, but the very first issue of Ultimate Spider-Man. And I didn't even know anything about writers back then. And Bendis was probably the only real consistent writer that's been prevalent throughout my comics history, and he was the reason why I went to Superman. And when the last time I was in Superman, which was I believe issue number, I'm looking right now in my collection, 9, my last one. That was was it 9? I think it was 10. Oh no, yeah, it was 10 because I had skipped an issue. It was. I still thought it was good, but it was like I guess it was me internally being like he's gonna do the same thing to Superman as he did with Spider-Man and Ultimate Spider-Man in a way, but it didn't really connect for me. I mean, I still have plans to eventually go back and continue reading. It's just finding the old issues, finding the time. So the age-old time is everything, and that's exactly why I've delved off comics for now. I mean, I do want to go back someday. I just don't know. I think video games. I think the only thing about I've been personally too overhyped on, and I think this year especially, like people were a little bit overhyped on Death Stranding more recently, and that at least for me, it's like I never really got into Death Stranding. Like I tried to. I mean, I'm gonna try and get to that game again, but right now I'm so in love with Spyro. Twitch.tv/ActionXgames. If you want to know more about that, I've loved that, and it's been But unfortunately for Death Stranding, it's like I want to give the game the love it needs, but it's like I guess I was too hyped on it being a Kojima game, and this was going to be my proper first Kojima game that I didn't really like know what I was expecting. I don't think a lot of other people were expecting some people were expecting this. Maybe they were way blown by that, but what we got, or I don't know. I mean, I read people's opinions, I hear people's opinions, and I understand them. And at least for me, I think Death Stranding was an example of like me being overhyped to the scale of curiosity. I was expecting like this was going to be something like it's going to hook me in right away. I'm going to be a full Kojima fan. And I still respect the man. I still respect him a lot, regardless if I've only now played I think a quarter of a game of his. But that's just how I am. And I think for me the other thing I was really overhyped about was Spider-Man Web of Shadows when I was a kid. The more I think about it now, I feel like I have a bit of a bullish divisiveness against Spider-Man Web of Shadows because it is a Spider-Man game, but now that I'm remembering, that's not kind of what Spider-Man's supposed to be, and there was a lot of bugs and glitches with that game, and like I don't know, maybe it was me not being a full person who knew how to play video games properly. I didn't know how to puzzle solve. I didn't know like direction, or maybe my game was glitched. I don't know. I was really hyped for that game, and like since Spider-Man games have been up and down until recently with the 2018 game. It was just I've always been too overhyped with certain Spider-Man games. Like I remember seeing the first Amazing Spider-Man trailer, not for the movie but for the game, and I was like, "Cool, this looks cool." And then I didn't get to play it again until much later, and it's like, okay, it's okay, but some of the graphics could have been better. Some of the gameplay mechanics could have been more improved. And then they did Amazing Spider-Man 2, and it's like, this is as tie-in as tie-in is going to get. Like, I can easily tell they could have put, like, maybe another year or two into this game. It would have been much better. But it was a movie tie-in, and it had to be. I think that was the last movie tie-in
for a video game for a long time. I think for a comic book movie. I mean, yeah, I'm not including mobile games because I know mobile games those are a different development cycle. Yeah, I feel like in general, being overhyped is a thing. There's no real solution for it. There really is. I'm just commenting on it. That at least for me, it's. I guess I should like turn off notifications on stuff when I'm not watching a product because I have no idea if the Game of Thrones finale was over proportionally called out on it for its for its mixed reaction. I don't know about that till I get there. Same with Watchmen. Yeah, we'll see I'll see what happens at the end of the day. I mean, I guess not being overhyped is not a bad thing. It's not really. It's just for me, it's an issue that has been more and more prevalent as I get older, as I'm starting to discover these new things, these new shows, these new movies that I haven't seen before. Like the last thing I'll mention, and this now that I remember, this was the one movie series I was absolutely underwhelmed by. I enjoyed it, but I prefer the prequels. The Lord of the Rings. That series was way too overhyped for me. It was. I enjoyed it. I understand the magnitude of filming it took to make those movies. It's just for me, I felt like it was a chore at times for me to watch those movies. I enjoy The Hobbit more. And I know that is blasphemy. I am not a true Tolkien fan. I am not. Call me whatever you want. That's just my personal opinion. I remember seeing The Hobbit, an Unexpected Journey on HBO. And I don't know why. I really enjoyed it. I watched it 5 times. And Desolation of Smaug and Battle of 5 Hours were pretty good. But Lord of the Rings, I guess it was because it's weird. Because like some people are going to say, it's a timeless classic. You can watch it regardless of what year you're watching it. You're still going to enjoy it. At least for me, I mean, I felt like, again, it was a very long runtime, so I felt like it was a chore for me to watch 3-hour movies, and then again, I just watched Endgame, so it's like, what's my excuse? I don't know, it's like, I don't know, like, I never really got into it, to be completely honest. That was another thing, like, all my friends in high school, like, that watched Lord of the Rings, they kept overhyping it for me, like, oh, this is amazing, this is great, the Hobbit trilogy stands nothing against this, and for me, I feel the opposite. That's a weird thing, and remember, this is an opinionated show, so that's my opinion. If you want to argue with me, and again, I haven't watched Lord of the Rings since I first watched it. I have not touched Lord of the Rings since 2014. I have not. Maybe it's due for a rewatch. I don't know. But anyway, overhypedness is a real thing. It's fine to have it. There's nothing you can do about it. It's just part of life. Like, I was overhyped for this one thing I wanted to do, and then it didn't happen. Or it just didn't turn out the way I wanted to. But guess what? You roll with the punches. And that's going to do it for me this week, guys, because I got a lot of things to do. Anywho, guys, if you were unaware, this was Let Joe Talk from Action X. If you want to see more Let Joe Talk, please subscribe to Action X. Ring the bell for notifications when we go live. Follow us on all the social media feeds, including twitch.tv/ActionXGames. We just launched that. I'm streaming Spyro in the meantime, since I don't really have a new video game to look forward to till I think March. But you can check that out. I don't have a schedule or anything. I just stream when I'm free. I'm streaming when I'm free. I'm free streaming. Everything's free on this channel. Like, favorite, share the video if you want to. I'll be back next week with another Let Joe Talk. Hopefully school does not overwhelm me like it did last year around the same time period. It was literally the same time period. Like the last time I did Let Joe Talk, I'm like, I'm consistent, I'm good. Then the semester, then I'm like, frackety frack. But either way, I'll see you guys next week. Peace out.